Luxurious Heat Nation. Yeah. Murcielago. Down to Biscayne. Yeah. Five on the floor. Ride for my dogs. Where here's the thing. You can check the score. Hustle hard, couple scars, wearing bubble frauds. Down to Biscayne. Kept the floor playing, got it all banned. Y'all seen the block, stop with one hand. And Pat we trust, Inspire have the guts. We're here to bring the heat, y'all can hang it up.
Welcome to Five on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Also make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
Welcome back to another post-game edition of Five on the Floor. I'm your host, Greg Sylvander. Tonight's floor plan with me, Brady Hawk. We come to you directly after the Miami Heat get a 4th consecutive victory. Do I have that right? Yes. 118-95 over the Philadelphia 76ers. No Andrew Wiggins. There was a lot of interesting stuff in terms of where Spo went with the lineup. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into the top plays of the night, the player of the night, all that fun stuff. Before we do, quickly going to shout out Off the Floor. That's our Discord server. You want to join that. The link is in the description. $2.99 a month. That is for the most heat anywhere. You can talk Miami basketball 24/7. There's channels to talk even other stuff. You can migrate all your social media to one platform. Do it on Off the Floor. Link is in the description. $2.99 a month. The most heat anywhere. So Brady, we're going to get to a burning question that I'm interested your perspective on later in the show, related to the Heat winning these games right now and what that means. But right off the bat, this is another game where the Heat shoot really well. Tyler Herro has another really efficient game. We'll talk more about him in a minute. Your initial thoughts just to the Heat basically coming into an environment where they had to win against Philadelphia. They were awful. Like, Philadelphia is playing a G League team in terms of the guys that they have out there. There's to go over the names, people will just, their eyes will glaze over. So your thoughts on just this Heat victory. They're getting a game that they should win, but now they're stringing together victories, and you wonder, is this momentum towards play-in luck? What are your overall thoughts on this 4-game winning streak?
Yeah, so they 100% were playing a team that was a G League team, but there's been many games this season and probably these last 2 months that Miami's looked like the G League team. So no, they just needed to generate some type of wins. And more than the wins, like, they need to generate some type of positive energy and positive offense and positive just trends on both sides of the floor. And it feels like ever since, like, yes, they got the one game before the Jimmy game, but ever since the Warriors game, they've kind of bounced off that game and kind of just provided the energy offensively. Look, number one, when you're shooting the ball from 3 like you are, like, it's going to be hard to lose in itself. Like, they're just shooting the ball incredibly well right now. Like, they're getting it from so many angles. Obviously, Tyler, we're going to talk a little bit more about him, but him moving off the ball, and he's he shot over this 4-game winning streak. He's 15 of 24 from 3. Wow. That in itself, that helps. Like, when your best player is able to shoot at that level, your best scorer to kind of be able to play off the ball and shoot at that level from beyond the arc. Then you're getting kind of the production from guys like Alec Burks and others. It just feels like they're getting the shooting from everywhere. Even Bam has been stretching the floor pretty often and kind of hitting consistently. So that helps in itself, but they are just playing better basketball in general. It looks like they're just much more confident than they were a few weeks ago. Like, it would hit a certain point in the game, like, they'd get punched in the mouth and everybody knew it was over. Everybody knew they were going to blow the lead or whatever was going to happen. It just felt like they just weren't mentally strong enough at certain points this season. And right now, the first thought I had watching specifically Tyler Herro in this game is it was one of the few times this season where I felt like they were just having fun. Like, there haven't been many of those moments this season, and it just felt like when Tyler was going on that rampage where he was just going to keep getting threes up because he was in that mode, and he's running down the floor and he's just smiling. He breaks the ankles on that step back, and he's just walking back, kind of just laughing. Like, We haven't seen that much this season. We just haven't seen much enjoyment or finding their joy. And it feels like right now they are kind of finding their joy. So it's just a better brand of basketball. Yes, not against a great team tonight, but they weren't getting these wins a couple weeks ago. So you have to take them when you can get them.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm taking a win streak over a 10-game losing streak any day of the week. I also think that in terms of the vibes, this team, I think it was Andrew Wiggins who may have said it to somebody in the locker room. It may have been you. I'm not sure exactly. But they said, we just need to get one win. And once we get one win, we'll start to stack these up. And ultimately, the Golden State game seems to be like that moment where they kind of shifted and they've looked different. This is also an interesting moment for Bam and Tyler in the way that they navigate leading a team, trying to at least make something of this season that's otherwise been tumultuous, to say the least. Let's actually dive into Tyler specifically with the Insurance by Lynette Player of the Game.
And now it's time for the A-Aggressive Insurance Player of the Night, sponsored by our friend Lynette. You can find her at insurancebylynette.com. That's with 2 N's and 2 T's, insurancebylynette.com. If you need car insurance, renter's insurance, homeowner's insurance, or any other type of insurance, she's the person to go to. Based in Lauderhill, she services the entire Tri-County area here in South Florida, and she will make sure to get you the best deal. She'll probably talk to you about the heat while you're at it. Reach out to her, insurancebylynette.com. And now, the player of the game.
Tyler ZZ Peck here, 11 of 17 from the field, 33 minutes, 30 points, 7 assists, only 2 turnovers. Brady, we just had another game from Tyler where people said this was like his best offensive outing of the season. He had another really efficient outing tonight. Your thoughts on Tyler's game?
Yeah, he's just playing really good right now. I mean, it's been a new role. I mean, Spo keeps pointing it out after some of these games where he'll say he's been crediting for the last 4 games how much Tyler's accepting playing off the ball and kind of using like the attention he's seeing against some of these defenders and trying to get off the ball more often. He made the comment like a game or 2 ago, and I think some people kind of took it the wrong way where it's like, he's like, I didn't draw up one play for Tyler in this game. And it's like, people are like, why? But like the point, I think, like when that comment is made, it's not like there's not plays he's running. It's just not, he's just not calling out the play for him specifically. Like Tyler's getting into actions, getting in sets that they're just normally flowing into. And that's what you're seeing off the ball, like him flying off these type of slip screens and pin downs and just constantly finding, I think the biggest thing for him right now, which is probably his biggest growth area, is he's just not stopped moving. Like we used to talk about with Duncan, like because he was a specialist, he just doesn't stop moving. Tyler's kind of adapted that, where even though he's such an on-ball player at times, he's just really on the move right now. And it's impressive for the fact that we thought his legs would die out at the end of the season with how much has been on his plate. And to see him kind of get a second wind right now, like that's what this kind of feels like a little bit, because he did die out a little bit toward the middle of the season where it just felt like he was short on a lot of jumpers and all that stuff. But he just feels like he's just getting the second wind right now. So, I mean, I'm looking at his last 4 games where he's had 30 points on 11 of 17 shooting tonight. He had 36 points on 13 of 17 shooting, 20 points on 7 of 10 shooting against Golden State, and then 29 points on 11 of 19 shooting against Charlotte. You're 4-0 when Tyler's doing this and he's not demanding the ball, but also 7 assists tonight. And in 2 of those 4 games, he's had 7 assists. So, like, you're just seeing him play like a really great brand of basketball. And I'll say bigger probably than anything, I'm more impressed, even though I mentioned the 3-point numbers and him kind of getting off the ball, what's allowing that is his physical drives. Like, he is really getting downhill right now. Like, he's getting to that floater, has been really great just over this stretch. They've opened up the playbook for him a little bit more, where they've said you can take mid-ranges, you can take floaters. Like, at this point, they're not going to let you get 10 clean threes, 12 clean threes in a game. So just go be you. Just if you find an opening, go get it. So I think that's what you've kind of seen. He's not taking a ton of the mid-ranges he used to take. He's not taking those pull-up mid-ranges, like those elbow ones. But he's turning it into these close floaters where he's getting deep into the paint. And he's just been so effective, but more specifically, he's been efficient, as you mentioned. Like, he's just been a really efficient player. I mean, those are almost identical field goal attempt numbers that I mentioned in the last 4 games. It's pretty similar. So he's finding a little bit of consistency right now. And this team needs it. I mean, they just need, because once they can play off that, I think that's what's honestly leading to a lot of the general 3-point shooting surges.
Yeah, you mentioned him. I really notice him having his legs and just being in a better physical place right now. You mentioned the drives to the basket. He's not always finishing all the way through contact, but just enough to get fouled. He's starting to get all-star calls here and there. And then the other thing is the deep threes. Like, he wouldn't shoot those deep threes if he wasn't feeling right physically. And so those are just things that stuck out to me. I love to continue to see what Tyler Herro is doing right now. I think he and Bam have an important stretch of basketball to close out this year as kind of the guys that are leading this team right now. Speaking of Bam, speaking of the front court in general, let's get to the C Arm and Staffing X-ray of the play of the day.
And now it's time for the X-Ray of the Play of the Day, brought to us by our friends over at Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services. Nelson and his team will bring the X-ray equipment and the staffing to you. If you work in a hospital or a medical office, get a consultation today at c-armandstaffing.com or give them a call at 561-891-9620. Their fleet of trucks at your service. Again, it's Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services, 561-891-9620. And now, the X-ray of the play of the day.
So I'm thinking Kel'el Ware because he continues to find easy buckets around the rim. He's rebounding really well. So there's a couple plays that come to mind, but I'll let you lead the way here, Brady. Your favorite play of the night?
Yeah, I'll just mention it quickly because we just did, the start of the show on Tyler. But I mean, Tyler having that one play where he pump fakes, drives left, step back, the guy, touches earth, and he's able to kind of, shoot it over the top and make it. He had that one in the last game against the Hawks. Obviously, he didn't fall, but, over Okongwu late in the game where he has that kind of deep step back. That's just a tough shot. And it just, goes back to all the things we were saying about him having his legs, being in a rhythm from three and all that. But they just need that type of energy. But to your point about Kel'el, I mean, 6 of 6 shooting tonight, 13 points and 14 boards. I mean, he's really been quietly productive. And when you're talking about a flashy young big and he's kind of being quietly productive, to me, that's more important than anything. Like he's had a lot of flashy outings early in the season, but he's just been just doing a lot of the dirty work. He's kind of late into the season. I feel like his energy, his movement, defensively, you don't see as many mistakes. And obviously, I'm not saying about tonight specifically against this team, but I think just in general over the last, even during the 10-game losing streak, I thought there was positive moments from him defensively where he's containing, whether it's in zone or man, he's kind of just playing better and playing his job. I think you saw it specifically in that Warriors game where he was just kind of being a really good weak side defender, the timing and all of that added in. So I think they just have to keep getting these reps. I think the most positive thing late in the season is that we're at least seeing like the starting lineup is constantly changing, but Bam and Kel'el have stayed consistent. Like that matters. That you need this for the future. You need this for the now. So I just like that aspect of it. And Bam as well. Like in this game, he wasn't the loudest player on the floor, but I just think the only way for Tyler to work as well as he has, and the only way for all these other guys to shoot as well as they did, is that Bam. I mean, he had 5 assists. The way he was kind of just take control of the offense at certain points of the game.
Drawing attention.
100%. I mean, it's easy to do when they've kind of split the minutes with Wiggins. This recent stretch with Wiggins where he's kind of come in and he's been the aggressor in those non-Tyler minutes where he's kind of gotten to his spots. But in the games without Wiggins, that's what the 10-game losing streak was happening for a big reason. I mean, they didn't have that guy to be the aggressor, to take the attention off of him. And I'll mention this last thing. There's this 2 games in a row, and I haven't seen this like ever for the Heat, where Bam or a player defender doubles Bam off of Tyler and it ends at a Tyler 3. Yeah. I don't know what this new thing is where teams are helping off of Tyler. I've never seen this, but it's 2 games in a row, and it's not like anything toward Tyler. Honestly, it's a credit toward Bam that like they are legit worried about him on a mid-post catch. That they're worried about doubling him in that space, and that's 2 straight games where he kind of made a kick out and Tyler ends up getting a 3 out of it. So, I mean, the front court's been consistent and they've been effective. I mean, that's what you want to see.
We're going to use the real estate shop defending the house segment to talk rotations, and then we're going to get to the final question with Brady related to the direction of the season. But let's get to the last segment.
And now it's time for our Defending the House segment, sponsored by our friends over at The Real Estate Shop. You can find them at realestateshopfl.com. That's with 2 P's and an E, realestateshopfl.com, or at the Fort Lauderdale Realtor on Instagram. This is Javier Iglesias and Amanda Martin. They help buyers and sellers in real estate. They're nimble and protective of their clients. They service the entire Tri-County area. That's Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties with a proven on-market strategy. The Real Estate Shop sellers earn the most money in the shortest time frame because Amanda and Javier have a deep understanding of the local market. So check them out. Again, it's at the Fort Lauderdale Realtor on Instagram, realestateshopfl.com, or give them a call at 954-268-9812. And now, who defended the house?
I mean, the Heat ultimately defended the house, but let's be honest, the Sixers shot 50% from the field, 40% from three. So we're not going to get too into the defensive part of this. I want to talk lineups. They went with Alec Burks again. My prediction is that's where they stay. And I'm interested to hear your thoughts there. But with Larson playing and Jaime being completely on the shelf, I mean, I know he got a couple minutes there at the end, but that's not what I'm talking about in the prime rotation here, or their primary rotation, excuse me. Your thoughts on Burks, your thoughts on Larson, how they're going to integrate those two. Do you agree with me that Burks has kind of earned himself a spot here? Or am I crazy?
You're not crazy. I mean, the question for me, I think, all right, first of all, with the rotation, Alec Burks should not leave the rotation. He should not leave the 8 or 9 man rotation. I feel like for the rest of the way, they need him, Duncan playing or not. The question becomes, I think, when Duncan returns, depending on what level he's at, how they want to treat the lineups, because they've staggered it in a way where they've run 3 or 4 bench guys with one. It's been Wiggins, it's been Bam. They've run different variations, and I'm just curious what they think fits more, because I don't think it's crazy to say Duncan fits better with, playing in that Davion Haywood lineup with Bam, and they could kind of roll. They'll work Duncan in off the bench and Burke stays in his starting lineup. It's not crazy to say. And if they go to Duncan and they just kind of reverse it, I don't think it's a big change for them. I don't think it's like something that's going to be noticeably different. But it's just a variation they can get to. But to work off of that, Alec Burks has been so good. Like, he has really been like, when you talk about off the catch, like, just like he's hiding in that weak side corner on every possession. Like, you just see him standing there waiting, hands up, staying ready. And once he catches it, and it doesn't matter the contest, like, he could get that shot off. If it's wide open, obviously we know he can knock it down. But there's contests where he winds it up right into the shot. He's just so good in those corners.
If they were a playoff team, he would win them a playoff game doing that.
100%. Like, that he's the type of guy. He's the type of guy that honestly is the type of guy that goes off against Miami, like in regular season games or not. Like, he's the type of guy that just randomly catches fire, and we would be like crowning him as a random heat killer. Yeah. But no, he's just been really good in his role, that they ask him to kind of go out there. He's been a guy in the past that's put the ball on the floor a little bit, and they pretty much said, we want you, we need you to be off the catch, don't dribble as much as possible, because he's not the greatest playmaker. Like, we've seen at times when they've used him like that. He's just much better just playing his efficient game of just catching and moving. So credit to him. Like you said, I think he needs to stay in the rotation for sure. Larson is an interesting one with the rotation, because I don't really know what you do with that. But when you talk about defending the house, his stat line is insane. Like,
4 steals,
points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals, which I wonder if they're going to change that to 5, because he got a 5th one late in the game, and I think they gave it to Stevens. But that might go back. That might go back to Pella. So that might be 5 steals and 2 blocks. He was just everywhere. Like, he is just – the issue with him is if you do play him consistently, there's going to be a lot of games where he gets 2 or 3 fouls in a matter of minutes, because and it's not a bad thing for a young guy. I think they like that from him. He's just so aggressive. He's just going at 110% on every single play, and it's why they like him. But I just think in certain spots, like if he has to be thrown on like a top player to start a game, if he was stepping into the starting lineup, let's say, that he could pick up 2 quick fouls. But let's talk about what his regular role would be moving forward. It would be like in that Jaime type role that we've talked about in the past. And it's not the biggest deal in the world if he gets thrown in there and gets 2 or 3 fouls. Like, if he's playing in these spurt minutes just to be an energy guy, he could do that. So I don't think it's crazy to say. They have to find roles for these guys. But I'll say this. So Tyler let's just say they keep the rotation tonight. The starting lineup with Wiggins in for Pella.
Yeah.
Off the bench, Haywood and Davion are your 6th and 7th guys, no matter what. I think you're probably going Haywood, Davion, Duncan as your 8. If Jovic comes back, he's your 9th. And if Jovic doesn't come back, it's Pella. Like, I think that's kind of the point you have to get to here.
With maybe slow-mo on certain nights.
100%. 100%. Especially if you don't have Jovic, it's a mix of Kyle Anderson and Pella. I'm curious to see if Nico comes back, because I think that could really change the energy of some of these lineups.
I hear he's doing really well.
He's doing well, but I pushed back where I thought it before, like they wouldn't rush him back with the way the season was going.
Yeah.
But it is a hand injury. Like it's nothing that you're like worried about long term here, where it's like a foot or a leg or something, or a knee. Like this is a hand, so I don't think it's crazy to say he comes back. But I am curious to see what they do with the rotation now, like specifically with their shooters, so like how they're going to treat this. But it was just a heck of a game from Pella. I just thought he was pure energy. Like some of those games where you're walking away, where the last few games where it's been Davion, where he's diving on the floor doing all this stuff. That's what they're getting out of Pella right now. They have a lot of dirty work guys on this roster now. Finally, but it feels like now what we always talk about is now it's about getting that guy consistently like Tyler Wiggins or Bam to step up offensively, and they've gotten that as of late. So if they could keep that up somehow, and they could keep the production from 3 and keep the production offensively from those guys, they'll be in a decent spot to win some of these games that they were losing a couple weeks ago.
Couple housekeeping notes. Haywood Highsmith, 13 points off the bench, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. Davion Mitchell, another game with 8 assists, where he's just distributing really well, better than I thought he could before he got to Miami. So wanted to give him a shout.
Both of them plus 18, by the way.
Yeah, right. And to the point about Kyle Anderson, he just seems to find, I mean, tonight he was 3 of 11, so I don't want to overstate it, but he seems to be a player that I would venture to guess Spo will trust eventually down the road. So, but overall, good game from everybody. Here's the last question of the night. Brady, as you watch this Heat team now on a 4-game winning streak, and also in a situation where if they were to lose in the play-in, they could potentially have the 8th best, 9th best lottery odds. How do you, Brady Hawk, watch this team? And like, are you, because for me, when I watch, I can't help but root for wins. But there is a part of me that also acknowledges that having a shot in the lottery is a shot in the arm that you don't get every day. How do you perceive that? I don't think that you've been asked this question on record, so I'm interested in your perspective on how you're watching the rest of this year.
Yeah, if you asked me this question like a week and a half ago, I might have given a different answer.
The win streak complicates things. That's why I think
it does. It does. Like, I'm not saying this moves the needle and they think they're making a play-in run or a playoff run, but I do think they're in a spot now where Ethan said it a lot, where he talks about this team can't, like, they just physically, I don't think can tank. Like they can't go move the needle in either direction. Like they can't just say they're going to just win all these games or lose all these games.
Yeah.
I just think when you're a 500 type team that's just kind of mediocre, you're going to have nights where you play like this, and you're going to have nights like where you play like you did 2 weeks ago. So my overall point is, I mean, there's if you're rooting for one or the other, I don't think it's changing anything. Like this team is so unpredictable at this point. That they're going to be the 10 seed most likely in this play-in. They're going to have to win 2 road play-in games to now sneak into the 8 seed to play the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Great.
And 2 weeks ago, I would have told you I don't think they have a chance against Chicago because they're playing great basketball. But I mean, if Wiggins is healthy and they're playing this brand of basketball right now where they could settle in and they're played like the intensity they played against the Warriors, I don't think it's crazy to say that they grind out a couple of play-in wins and then end up in the 8 seed and end up back where everybody loves to be. Which is literally getting a worse draft pick while also getting, probably losing in 5 games, because they're going to get that like game 2 win or game 1 win to make everybody like, hold on.
Them so well.
That's what's going to happen. So I think us picking a direction is not going to matter because this is inevitable. We know where this is heading, but yeah, I mean, this, and also, are they peaking too early late in the season? Like,
right?
They're going on a 4-game winning streak. They have an easy game coming up, and then all of a sudden, late in the season, they might tire out again. I don't know. Like, there's so many variables here. They just have to stay healthy, I guess. And I mean, when you do have a young team, though, I'll say this lastly: that's why when you ask me about the Pella thing, I'm like, I just want them to play. I want Pella. I want Kalel. I want all that. If you're not at a point now where you think you're going to have the highs of making a long playoff push. So if you do get into the play-in, if you do get into that second play game or get to the 8 seed, make sure you're playing your young guys. Like, just give them the reps to go out there and, make something. Like, it's just no point of playing some of these other guys that aren't long-term fits with your franchise. Like, it just doesn't make sense when you're at this stage.
I agree. I also think as Heat fans navigate this themselves, the Heat probably aren't going to be able to lose enough to fall any further in the standings. So to win these games, like, just take the wins while you can get them. And those 10-game losing streaks are awful. So they're ultimately going to probably be in about the same spot. And if they get through the play-in, that's another conversation. They're going to try. They're going to try like hell. But it's going to be a tall order to win 2 road games, and we don't know who's healthy by then. So for now, the Heat get a victory in Philadelphia. We don't, and we will never rather be the Sixers on this show. We will have you covered for all of the additional road games as Miami goes on a 3-game trip. Shout out to our sponsor, shout out to Off the Floor, and peace out.